Greetings, Al Achad, back at you. What is going on there up in your house, up in your area of the world? What's up? So I'm trying something new with this being able to share the screen. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of these programs either they're too expensive for what they offering, or what I'm saying, they take up too much like uh, file size. Like it'd just be too large, like a gigabytes, like 8 or 9 gigabytes, just a screen record. So this is something that I can work with here. And what you see on the screen is what I will be talking about today. So this is going to be the third installment. It is the third installment of a playlist series that I have on my channel here at Wholography. Darkside, Occult, Kabbalah, and Computers. This is part 3. So, there's part 1, part 2. Part 1 was a video that I put together, on one of those recording apps or video editing apps on my phone. And then part 2 is where, I think I did do that live. I think so. If not, then it was a video that reached like around an hour in length. So now I want to come at y'all with the third one. So this is probably the last one I'm gonna do, unless some new findings come through. You know what I'm saying? And this one has been waiting in the oven for a minute. You know what I'm saying? Slow cooker, slow burner, or one of those slow cookers. You know what I'm saying? Where you let the chicken sit in the pot, get all greased up and saucy for about 6-8 hours. So this is what this is, man. And we need to get into um this parallel between the occult, obviously, and the realm of computer science. You know what I mean? Definitely putting that together, because there are some parallels, not even just with there's so many parallels with that uh computer thing, man. I could even say that the arrival of the whole computer thing is a artificial retelling of the creation of the universe. You know what I'm saying? Because that may even deserve its own video in and of itself. But this is kind of part of that whole thing here with this dark side of dark side occult Kabbalah. And this is for anybody that's into the Kabbalah. You're into the occult. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, everybody's using a computer, whether it's just their phone exclusively, smartphone, which is a computer, portable one, or you still deal with laptops and MacBooks and things of that sort. You know what I mean? So the last video, I was really kind of telling you the origin of me coming up with what's called kernel work. Because there's a lot of people that are root workers, and rightfully so, they do root workings. But that's not the origin of what they could be dealing with. They're dealing with the roots of it. So if we deal with the analogy of a tree, a tree has its trunk, its branches, leaves, what I'm saying, fruit, if it's bearing fruit or whatever, the bark on it. And then obviously you go into the soil, and that's where all the root, the roots of the tree are, or what's called a rhizosphere. Rhizo is, I think it's Greek for root. I don't think it's Latin. It's actually, yeah, it's Greek for root. So when you say rhizosphere, you're literally talking about the root world or the underworld. You can say it like that. So that relates to the whole dark side occult part of this thing, and the Kabbalah, and more specifically, the clipot or the clip off. You know what I'm saying? There's different ways of klepot. You know what I'm saying? It hits when I got this book. This book dealing with the clipot. These are all the same things. It's the root work, right? So now we get into kernel work, which is we're dealing with the seed of it all, the origin point. What's the point? The origin point, the 0 point. If that's what you want to call it, going back to mainstream science. So this is where I'm getting the idea of kernel work. If you're dealing with the kernel of a computer, the kernel of the computer is the most central part of the operations of a computational device or a computational system. It's the seed, and it is from that seed that every other computational or computer process or system is springing out of or is under the control of. So the foremost program that actually operates the physical parts of your computer is the kernel. So every computer has some form of kernel. Now we are dealing with more specifically Unix and Linux systems. Like if you know anything about Linux computers, because Linux is the go-to system, besides trying to deal with Windows or Mac. You know what I'm saying? It's an operating system that, deals directly with the terminal of a computer. And the terminal, like I've done in the previous two videos dealing with Darkside, Occult, Kabbalah, and computers, is that black screen that you deal with. Usually it's a black screen that you use to operate on the more depthical levels of your computer. So instead of dealing with all the graphics of your, your graphical user interface as you see on the screen, you're actually dealing with it on the a more depthical level. So you can do all these type of tasks and executions just by typing in words instead of trying to click on icons or click on, the graphical presentations on your screen. So it's a terminal. It's also called the command prompt or the command line of your computer. So most people who have computers never really deal with the command line. Obviously, that's for more advanced computer scientists or people that's trained and study that level or operate on that level of their computer. And in my previous video on part 2, I dealt with how you dealing with that, or I also deal with it in part 1. It's throughout this whole series where it's just like in the realm of occult or magic, right? Because you have people who only deal with the physical objects and the things that they can see readily with their five senses, and then you have people who operate on a level beyond that, on the command prompt of existence. Like this whole thing of you creating a command line or a command prompt or a terminal for your computer is analogous to the dark side of existence. So this idea of a command line first starts with our own existence, where the underground or the underworld or the clip-op or the Kalepa, you know what I'm saying? The cliff off of the tree, tree of knowledge, tree of knowledge, or the tree of good and evil. That would be your command prompt of your computer, because you're going beyond the physical, things you can see with your eyes, things you can see or feel with your hands, hear with your ears, and you're going beyond that. And you're dealing with a much more, buried level of the existence of that computer and the existence of which we live in. So kernel is where the root and the branches and the trunk of the tree spring out of. So this is kernel work we're doing. So right there with the kernel, and I have this highlighted here on this website, Unix services and daemons. So now we really making a correlation between computers and the occult. Because look at this word daemon. Why would they use this term to relate to anything in the computer realm? So, if you're dealing with the clip off, you're dealing with daemons, you're dealing with demons, you're dealing with spirits. So too in this computer thing. Look at it. I even have this Wikipedia page pulled up where, again, talking about daemon. And they have this whole section where they explain the terminology of why they're using the word daemon. You know what I mean? And they have to do this because you have people that, maybe of a Christian, slant or a Christian background. And they're like, well, why are you using demonic stuff to explain computers? You know what I mean? Why are you doing that, dude? Why would you do that? That's evil. It's demonic. You're a Satanist. You know what I'm saying? Shit like that. But they explain why they're using it. Because again, Christianity is just a religion. It's not the whole of the world. There's other religions, there's other philosophies, there's other way of looking at things. So you have this explanation here of the terminology of the word daemon. Well, first of all, what is a daemon? What are they referring to in the computer world? A daemon is just a computer program that runs in the background. Ah, ooh, oh. And it's right there where the kernel is, the core operating computation of your computer. So daemon is a background process. So if you ever looked into the log files or opened up the what's it called, the Control Alt Delete thing program, where you bring that up and it gives you a list of all the programs you have running on your computer. So you can use that to kind of close things down, especially if you are maxing out your memory, your RAM, your random access memory. Your random access memory is the capacity of whatever computer you're using, of how many programs it can run at one time. So if you have like 4 gig RAM, that ain't shit nowadays, because you could have your Google Chrome running, you can have all these different programs, and that is going to shut down. It's going to mess up or start being corrupted within minutes, because you have too many things operating at once. So you need to expand your RAM. So I'm operating on a MacBook that has 8 gigs of RAM. So that means there's an expanded level of how much things could be running at one time. It's not your storage. Storage is how much data you have on your computer, like how much it can be stored. Your RAM is how much it can process at one time, because you have a lot of stuff on your computer that you're not processing. There's apps that you don't, or applications you don't have open. There's files that you don't have open. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to RAM, you're dealing with what you have open and running at the same time as everything else. So there's a capacity to that. That's why, if you're dealing with anything, like, for example, you're a gamer, you like to game on your computer, you want to have the highest level of RAM available so that you can do all these processes at once. Because I remember having a laptop where it only had 4 gigs of RAM. So that means it was shut down after opening like a third program. Because right now I got like 7 or 8 programs open, because I have the capacity to have these things running at the same time. Now, going back into understanding a daemon, daemon is that process in the background that you do not have to operate, because the kernel of your computer, the core computing of your computer, is the one that launches these daemons into place. So it does these things without you having to go into the computer and tell the computer to do those things. So you have these daemons that operate, your internet, for example. So you have these programs that, soon as you click on Google Chrome or open, what I have open here, which is Safari, Internet Explorer, the daemons are programs that, search for different addresses. And, some of them also, do some anti malware. So it scans websites for any type of malware. There's daemons that do that. Daemons that hook you into different, soon as you click a button to hook into a website, it does all the computing processes for you that you don't have to do manually to connect to that website. So there's different things that daemons do. It's all about these background processes that you don't consciously have to do. What am I aiming at here? You as a being operate where you're not fully conscious of all the operations going on that keep you alive and keep you going. I've said this in previous videos. Your heart beats without you having to consciously make it beat. You breathe most of the time. For most people, you're not consciously breathing. That's why the practice of conscious breathing is such an important part of spirituality and any occult or esoteric practices, because you're getting into the level of your being that you normally don't control or don't consciously operate. That's what the daemons are. So going into the terminology and the origin of it, it deals with all this stuff here. Like, for example, going into Greek mythology, you had daemons that were your personal genius. So the word genius, daemon, demon, tutelary, intuition are all interrelated. And it goes back to this concept of, you have these beings that are born with you that do things for you or do things on your behalf without you consciously or having to be paying attention to it doing it. Like, for example, the process of you becoming a fetus in the womb. Were you consciously doing that? Because if so, why did you forget? Like, do you remember what you was doing in the womb? Like, was you consciously there to say that, oh, I'm gonna have this color of skin, I'm gonna be this darkened skin, or I'm gonna be this lightened skin? Like, who decides that? What decides that? What implements that while you're in the womb? Do you determine how tall you're going to be, how short you're going to be when you come out the womb? Do you determine that your path is going to be a doctor, serial killer? Like, how is that determined? You know what I'm saying? Because again, you as a being who only really generally operates on your five senses, there are things that are operating beyond your five senses that you won't be aware of if that's your perceptual capacity that you only do with five senses. So there are entities that are within you and around you that are supposed to be doing these things automatically for you. It's like involuntary autopilot. You see what I'm saying? Like, for example, when you don't have any food to eat around you, there are operations that go into place that start burning your fat reserves in your body. You don't consciously do that though. It's a process that is operating, outside of the direction of your own consciousness, like your ego consciousness. Like, are you consciously aware of the fact that like, how does your food digest? Like, where it's turned into fuel that's being used in your body. Do you consciously direct that? Are you consciously present as that's happening? No. Your mind is focused on, TV, driving a car, you know what I'm saying, trying to look good for people, dressing up. Your mind is focused on other stuff. It's not focused on these fundamental processes that keep your body going. That's where the daemon realm is. So this is why they started using this word. Daemon actually also refers to your personal guardian angel. So you know how you have these movies where you have this guardian angel that's looking out for you, where you can't look out for yourself? That's the realm of the daemon. So daemon is actually beyond good and evil, and they even say this in this article, I think. Yeah. So it says daemons have no particular bias towards good or evil, but rather serve to help define a person's character and personality. You know what I'm saying? So this is from the Unix System Administration Handbook by Evie Nemeth, where he's explaining to you, or he or she, is that a he or she? Who's this? Yeah, where she explains the origin of them in the computer world, the computer society, them using that word. But it's interesting why they would, borrow from that. This is why I said in the previous video in the series Darkside, Occult, Kabbalah, and Computers, that these people are also occultists. I know that they know the occult. I know that they do. Of course they do. Of course. Why would you sit here and act like they don't? Of course they do. And then they start using words that they know that the rest of the, especially American populace would be like, why are you using demon, the word demon or daemon to refer to that process of this computer? You know what I'm saying? Like, you scare people. It's like, well, I don't want to deal with demons, as a God-fearing person. You know what I'm saying? Even if you're not even that Christian, like, somebody sitting here using the word demon to describe a computer process. But again, this is beyond Christianity, though. They're going all the way back to Greek mythology, where every person had a guardian angel. That was your daemon, your tutelary spirit, your personal daemon, your genius. They even said with what's his name, Leonardo da Vinci, that all his creations and inventions and drawings of like the Mona Lisa and everything else he made and created or drew was him being inspired by or directed by his own personal daemon or genius. So even that word genius also is connected to the word jinn, genie, like the blue genie that's in Aladdin, or the jinn. So this is the realm of the jinn. This is the realm of the daemon. So when Christianity comes around, then they start saying that that's evil. And you know that when a new religion comes about, in order to control the masses and keep them in that new religion, you say everything else is either pagan, heathen, or evil. So this is how daemon became demon, and it became associated with evil spirits. But again, daemon is just a spirit or entity that is with you. It's like you're familiar. You ever heard of familiar when dealing with like witches and stuff like that? That's what this is talking about. So they took that word and made it applicable to these programs that go down in the background without you having to operate them. They just automatic. As soon as you turn on your computer, they do everything that they're supposed to do. So now we're getting into you know what I'm saying, even more depthical level of dealing with the Kabbalah. Because now if you're gonna sit here and deal with the Kalipoff or the Kalipot, you know what I'm saying, or Kalipot, you know what I'm saying, it's supposed to be oat. I've been studying some Hebrew, you know what I'm saying, so it's oat. So it's Klipot, Separate. You know, you have the Sephira, the 10 Sephirot, and each one is a Sephira. So oat is a way of saying that it's plural. So Klippa is only one sphere in that root of the tree, but Klipot is the, you know, in plural. So dealing with the Klipot, you're also dealing with these daemons. Now, if they're evil or good, that's something for you to decide when you deal with them. Because what's evil, what's good? We're talking about a morality system that you probably got from Christianity. You know what I'm saying? Age of Pisces, Pisces ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter deals with morality. Does it click for you? So yeah, this is them explaining that. So not only are we dealing with the kernel, we're also dealing with the daemons that are doing things on behalf of the kernel. So why just deal with the root? No, I'm going into the kernel so that I have the highest position over any other daemon or entity. And that now these entities are now doing my will or doing my bidding, and me being consciously aware that they're actually doing it. So why stop at the root, fella, sis, where you can go into the kernel? So think about again all the processes that surround you, in you, around, you know what I'm saying, that you do not consciously operate. Something else, some other intelligence or entity is doing that for you. So the goal is to be aware of that, conscious of that, expand your perceptions to be able to know and process that, and then operate accordingly afterwards. Instead of you just being, you know, the one where, you know, you everything is done for you and you ain't got to do nothing. That's a kid. You're a child. That's a minority level when all that has to be done for you without you being consciously aware of it or having to take care of it. But on this majority level or on this higher conscious level or this master level, the daemons now have to, or under your command. They do as you know what I'm saying, have them do. But you got to get to the kernel to do that. You can't be on just a human level thinking that you're going to control these high powered entities to do something. It's like, no, they operate on the kernel, not on your graphical user interface level of your understanding. You got to be in the kernel, operating from the kernel as a kernel worker. Until you do that, you are at the whim of your own daemons. And it's not even about good or evil, it's more about parent and child. You're a child, you're a kid to these entities. So when are you going to grow up? How you tell a grown man or a grown woman to grow the fuck up? Niggas is immature in their spiritual and occult reality and practice, obviously. Like this whole idea that you think that you created an entity. Really? Or was it introduced to you and you were tricked into believing you created it? What if it already existed and, you know, to give you some sort of illusion of control, it's introduced to you at a certain time and place? The idea, where did the idea from come from for you to even create it? What if that daemon gave you, it was already pre-made, it gave you the idea to then bring it into pass, like bring it into the physical, but you think you created it? No, it was always with you. You just sat here and gave it a face, a name, and whatever else you gave it, a symbol, a sigil. It's already there with you. It was already programmed to come to be. You don't even know the schedule of your own narrative. For example, what narrative did you choose before you got here? So if you don't even know that, how would you even know what's to happen in your life? You're under control of your own narrative. So some people think they're doing magic and they're not. You're just following the script, baby. That's all you're doing. And how many scripts have you watched on film or TV where they're doing magic? So even the characters in that TV show or movie are doing magic, but it's part of the script. Yes. So this series about Darkside Occult Kabbalah. It's also about being honest about where you are, like really showing you like where you are actually still asleep or in a minority status and need to be in a majority status. So you may be a minister. I'm moving towards being a magister. Know the difference. So you have these daemons. You have to get familiar with your daemons. Because how you know, like for example, your daemon could be acting against your own self-interest just to help you to wake up and see what level you need to be on. It's a way to get you towards the kernel because you get tired of what's happening to you. So now you're like, well, what is the seed of where that comes from? So you go on that journey through the underworld or the clipot, the roots, the rhizosphere to get to the kernel. That's the control center, fam. In case you didn't know what I meant by kernel or some of the other meanings of what it's dealing with. Because how the fuck can you overpower me or deal with me or you know saying defeat me and you only work on the root? I'm at the kernel. What you mean? You automatically lost that. And these are daemons that are with you before you even born. Before you even incarnated, they're with you. It's also in that concept of you having a devil and an angel on your shoulder because they combine these into one meaning. So really your angel and your demon is not different from each other. It's more about a conflicting idea. Like you want to go to the store and get some candy, but you're supposed to be sticking to your diet today. So you have one entity telling you to go to get that candy, and you got another one saying stay your ass put and stick to that regimen that you created or that you committed to. But it's all the level of daemon. And then this concept of eudaimonia is something I was talking about in the previous video, where you are in this state of dealing with your goods. You're in good spirits, but not just good as far as, you know, you talking about angels and high morality. No, you're talking about entities that are here to help you out of a high caliber. You know what I'm saying? Not lowly daemons, higher daemons. Again, has nothing to do with morality, has nothing to do with Christianity. It's those higher daemons that have the higher wisdom, the higher knowledge, and the higher understanding than you. So you would consult with them in order to also be in that spirit. So that's what eudaimonia is about. I want to be in a constant state of eudaimonia. A lot of y'all niggas is in maldemonia, which is being the prefix meaning bad or worse or poor or, you know what I'm saying? You in maldemonia. You deal with daemons that, you know, lead you to do some dumb shit, some questia shit, foolishness. I want that eudaimonia. You know what I'm saying? And this is an ancient term. This is going all the way, at least, you know, this term is ancient Greece. So we already know that ancient Greece is based on, you know, obviously previous cultures, Canaanite, Egyptian, Ethiopian, you know what I mean? Cushite, whatever you want to call it. And then going back into the computer thing, so eudaimonia on that level is where all your daemons in that computer are doing what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it. It would be maldemonia if they start malfunctioning. So we have maldemonia, malfunction, eudaimonia, good function. What function do you want? Because don't come around me with that malfunction and that maldemonia. You know what I'm saying? I don't want malfunction. I don't want questia. I don't want foolishness. I don't want corruption in my shit. I want my shit to be good. And again, we're not talking about morality. This is beyond morality. They even tell you in here it's beyond good and evil. You know what I'm saying? Because again, you could have daemons that are working in against you. You know what I mean? And it's all because you don't have the knowledge to deal with them. So it's just like these trickster spirits that because you are ignorant, you're in your minority status, you don't know none, you're ignorant, they can trick you with that shit. And it's for your own good. Because then if you start saying, well, I don't want to be tricked anymore, let me learn about myself and start acknowledging my, my inner universe, like my mind, right? It's a prompting to be like, I'm sick of being tricked. I want to be good. I want to be properly functioning out here. Because it's also, if you're talking about maldemonia, you're also talking about motherfuckers that never develop in their process. They remain human and thinking that they're beyond human. So knowing thyself includes knowing thy daemons. Like what daemons are introducing thoughts? Like where do your thoughts come from? Have you ever figured that out? Where do your feelings and thoughts emerge? Why do you think the way you think? Where are the thoughts coming from? Like I remember watching the movie Joker that came out in 2019 with Joaquin Phoenix, right? He was playing Arthur Fleck, right? And he's speaking to the black psychiatrist or the counselor or whatever, and he's telling him that all I have is evil thoughts. Where do they come from though? Because if you're talking about daemons, you also have to be talking about schemas. You know my extensive work on schemas. I got a whole course. Excuse, excuse me. I got a whole course on my ether-ins.teachable.com website where I teach you about the whole schema thing. And how there's siddhas. Like if you're dealing with the Hindu thing, they call them siddhas. So they're these intelligences or these um uh operations, background operations, again, daemons that you operate on. So they're responsible for, you're ultimately responsible because you're the person that acknowledges them, or you choose to acknowledge or you choose not to. That's all you. But regardless of that, they're the things that control the way you think, control the way you perceive the world. Your schemas, your traumas are based off of that. It's all a daemon. It's the world of the daemon. These background processes. So subconscious. We're talking about Jungian psychology. This is the world of the daemon. So there's nothing evil about it except for you not dealing with your daemon or you not recognizing or putting things in order, because now you just have a malfunction. So for example, if you want to talk about generational curses, each generation every generational curse is a daemon. There's a daemon behind that. Think about sexual abuse. There's a daemon behind that sexual abuse, and it travels and it sticks with that line of family and that lineage until someone deals with it. So that means everybody in that lineage is responsible because they had the choice to acknowledge themselves on that level or not. So it's based on, do you acknowledge it or do you don't? You get to choose. So as long as you keep being ignorant or don't want to deal with that shit, that's your fault. That's your responsibility. And then you pass that on and then on and on and on until they, deal with a curse breaker or someone who says, I'm going to recognize this daemon and put it in its proper place instead of it being in a malfunctioning state or being out of place. Because it can just be a matter of your daemon not being in place, and it's up to you to put it back in place. So if you have, like, I have a clock on my wall here, all the gears in that fucking clock that you don't see is the daemon or the daemons. So if you have a broken fucking gear, or spring is broken, that means the daemon is malfunctioning. So that means the clock is going to fuck up. You're going to get a bad time. right? It's not going to show the correct time. The hour hand is going to move faster than it's supposed to. But getting back to this, this is like a yeah, slide player. So this is where they have like slide decks where you can look at for free if you want to. So, you know, you have different daemons. So this cron daemon, it starts at the boot and remains up. So as soon as you turn your device on, this daemon goes into action. So it's just like you starting up your day or starting up your night or starting up your life in general. This daemon does operations that you don't consciously have to be aware of. It does it automatically. It's on autopilot. It does its own thing. So this is a lot of computer jargon, but it's all about, you know, the gist of it or the principle of it is that these programs are in the background. You don't even see them until you start digging for them, or you bring up that screen where you do the control alt delete. Yeah, so what is the use of control alt delete? So like I said, it brings up the operating system window. That's what I was trying to look up here right quick. So I forgot what the thing was called. I'm just saying control alt delete. It brings up your Windows operating screen. And again, you see the hold on, I can even hold on. Hold on, 1 minute. Do, 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 do. Yeah, so just this one article alone, it tells you hold on 1 second. Wait. Hold on. There we go. So on a personal computer with Microsoft Windows operating system, Control Alt Delete is the combination of Control key, Alt key, Delete key that a user can press at the same time to terminate an application, task, or reboot an operating system. And then you can also use this to look at all the basic input output system, which is where you can see the daemons. You can see these processes in the background of your computer that most people never deal with. That's something you would call in a technician or like a geek squad member or go to like a, you know, computer repair shop, and they would be able to, they would know this stuff. They go to school for this stuff. They know this stuff. You know what I mean? Even on Mac, on Linux. So that's what we're dealing with already. So again, it's just like in the occult Kabbalah. You're doing the same shit. You got to become that technician level person. You know what I'm saying? You got to go beyond the graphical user interface that's normally on your screen and get into the processes that are in the background of it. Right here in computer science, they sitting up here giving you the clues as to how you could deal with yourself in your own life, your own existence. You have a terminal side. You have a command prompt side. You need to get into that. That's the kernel work. You're dealing with daemons. Because a lot of people don't even understand what intuition is. Where do you come up with that word? Intuition is based on tuit or tutelary spirit. So intuition is literally your inner daemon. You're listening to your inner daemon, your inner entities. That's what intuition is, fella, sis. Big bro, little sis. You know what I mean? Little bro, big sis. This is what we dealing with. It's right here in computers. Because are you not a computer? Do you not process information? Do you not perform tasks? There are tasks being performed again without you attentively or consciously being aware of it. So the goal is to what? Voluntary control over involuntary processes. You're becoming conscious of your subconscious. So the moment you start dealing with your command line of your computer, or the you know what I'm saying, that level of your system, that's where you're getting into the subconscious of your computer. So if you can do it on a device like this, why can't you do it for yourself? Kernel work, baby. Because as soon as the kernel get going, the daemons do what they do. They work on behalf of the kernel. The kernel is the central station. You know what I'm saying? It's the kernel that gets your, you know, as soon as you turn your computer on, the kernel is the one that starts all the processes. Then the daemons, the background entities, start doing their thing. Again, not about good and evil. The evil is more about functioning and malfunctioning to me, because of your choice to be ignorant or knowledgeable of what's going on with you. So the more you want to remain ignorant, or you know what I'm saying, outside of that, then there's a problem. I guess there is going to be issues. You're letting the malfunction fester on without fixing it. No one is above correction. No one is beyond correction. So this is why, you know, for my own discipline, it involves this stuff here. You know what I mean? Without getting too deep into it, like, you know, this is what's going on. There's so much shit going on in your computer that you know nothing about. This is how, you know, me even studying cybersecurity, like this is how a lot of things can be placed on your computer and you never know it, just by you clicking on links on websites. There's something called a rootkit. There go that word, root and then kit, rootkit, that can be implemented onto your computer system as soon as you click on a link that, you know what I'm saying, was designed to put it on your computer. And they can use rootkits to actually tap into your camera, tap into the microphone of your computer. They can tap into anything. They can get into all your files of your system and everything, because you have that rootkit. It's just like if a sorcerer put a spirit into your body to collect all the information it wants, and then it can extract that information or broadcast that information back to the sorcerer. Now I'm gonna leave it to you to see where you want to go with this after you've been shown. Because again, you get to decide if you want to be aware of this shit or not. So again, this is Al Akkad coming with the third installment of Darkside, Occult, Kabbalah, and Computers. You know what I'm saying? Don't fail. This could help you out with that process. Huh? This could help you out with that process of what I was just saying, getting into your subconscious, so-called subconscious, or your terminal command prompt, command line of your own existence. Be a kernel worker. Don't settle for the superficiality of the root worker. You know what I mean? I know some of y'all gonna watch this and you still not going. You still not know what to do. You ain't gonna do it. It don't matter though.